Hey fans, if you're new to our channel, don't just watch till the end, join the family by hitting the subscribe button and turn on your notifications, so you never miss any of our videos. Trust me, you don't want to be the last to know. Alright guys, something is really going on in the Nollywood industry that I am here to share with you. Do you want to know? Alright then, sit back and watch till the end as we talk about the trending in the industry. So let me tell you how this whole thing started, because honestly, nobody saw it coming. Okwara was just sitting down peacefully, doing a casual live session with his fans like many celebrities do these days. You know how it is, just vibes, answering random questions, maybe talking about work, maybe cracking some jokes. The man was probably thinking it would be a smooth, drama-free session. But Nigerian fans, they came loaded for war. As soon as Brian appeared on screen, the comment section exploded with questions about Sonia Uche. Every single comment was either asking who she is to him, why he's always defending her, or if something romantic is going on between them. They bombarded him so much that the poor man couldn't even talk about anything else. He tried to dodge the questions at first, laughing them off and changing the topic, but you know how persistent fans can be. They kept pushing and pushing until Brian realized he wasn't going to escape unless he addressed it head-on. So he took a deep breath and decided to spill everything. And when I say everything, I mean he opened the floodgates and let the truth pour out like water from a broken dam. Brian started by setting the record straight about who Sonia Uche really is as a person, because according to him, a lot of people have been getting it completely wrong. He said most people see Sonia on set laughing, joking around, and having a good time with her colleagues, and they automatically assume she's this carefree, unserious person who doesn't take things seriously. But Brian shut that down immediately. He said Sonia is actually one of the most disciplined and hardworking actresses he has ever worked with in his entire career, and trust me, this man has been in the industry long enough to know what he's talking about. He explained that Sonia doesn't play with her time or her craft. She's never late to set, she doesn't bring unnecessary drama, she doesn't waste anyone's time, and she always shows up fully prepared with her lines already memorized. Brian said while some actors are still reading their script in the corner minutes before shooting, Sonia has already done her homework the night before. She respects everyone on set, from the directors to the camera crew, and she carries herself with a level of professionalism that many people don't even notice because she makes it look so effortless. Fans were stunned when they heard this because the image they had of Sonia was completely different from what Brian was describing. Then Brian dropped another revelation that made people's jaws hit the floor. He said after spending long, exhausting hours on set, sometimes filming from early morning till late at night, Sonia doesn't just pack her bags and rush home like most people would. Instead, she stays back to help younger actresses who are struggling with their lines or who need extra practice before the next day's shoot. She coaches them, encourages them, and makes sure they feel confident and ready. Now, when Brian said this, you could feel the shade radiating through the screen even though he didn't mention any names. Fans immediately started speculating and asking themselves, wait, who are the other actresses that don't do this? Who are the ones that act too big to help others? Social media detectives went into full investigative mode, trying to figure out which colleagues Brian was subtly calling out without actually saying their names. Some actresses probably felt the heat because the comparison was too obvious. The comment section became a war zone of theories, accusations, and defense squads. But Brian kept his cool and didn't mention any specific names, which only made people more curious and more determined to figure it out for themselves. Now here's where things got even more emotional and intense. Brian revealed something about Sonia's acting that left everyone speechless. He said when you watch Sonia cry in movies, those tears are not acting. They are real, raw, genuine tears coming from a place of deep emotion. He explained that when a director calls for an emotional or heartbreak scene, Sonia doesn't just turn on the waterworks for the camera. She actually taps into real feelings, real pain, and real vulnerability. And sometimes, even after the director yells, cut, and everyone else moves on to the next scene, Sonia is still crying. She's still in that emotional zone, trying to pull herself back together and return to reality. Brian said there have been times when the entire crew had to pause filming just to give Sonia a few minutes to recover because she was so deeply affected by the scene they just shot. That's why whenever people watch her heartbreak scenes, they feel it in their souls. It's not just acting for the sake of acting, it's genuine emotion being poured out on screen, and that kind of authenticity is rare. Fans who heard this suddenly understood why Sonia's scenes always hit differently. She's not faking anything. She's living it, breathing it, and giving every piece of her heart to every single role she plays. But Brian wasn't done yet. He moved on to talk about Sonia's friendships, and this is where the tea got piping hot and people started taking sides. He said Sonia is the kind of friend who would drop everything and show up for you no matter what. Even when she's exhausted, stressed, dealing with her own problems, or barely holding it together herself, if you call her and say you need her, she will be there. She's the type who remembers birthdays, checks up on people regularly, sends encouraging messages when you're feeling down, and genuinely cares about the well-being of those around her. But here's the painful part that made fans emotional. Brian said a lot of people don't give her that same energy back. They take and take and take from Sonia, but when it's time to show up for her, suddenly everyone is busy. Suddenly, nobody has time. Suddenly, the same people she bent over backwards for can't even send a simple text to check if she's okay. Fans immediately started connecting the dots and whispering names in the comment section. Some people were convinced he was talking about Maurice Sam, especially with all the tension and unfollowing drama that had been happening between them recently. Others thought he was referring to some of Sonia's female colleagues who smile in her face but gossip about her behind her back. The theories were flying left and right, and everyone wanted to know exactly who Brian was shading without actually naming names. And just when you thought it couldn't get any deeper, Brian talked about Sonia's loyalty, and this part had people's hearts. He explained that Sonia is loyal to a fault, and sometimes that loyalty ends up working against her instead of protecting her. She protects people who don't protect her back. She covers up their mistakes, makes excuses for their bad behavior, and tries to keep the peace even when she's the one being disrespected or taken advantage of. She avoids calling people out publicly even when they've wronged her deeply, and she forgives quickly, sometimes way too quickly, which makes some people think they can treat her anyhow and get away with it because she'll always forgive and move on. Brian said it genuinely hurts him to watch this happen because he knows Sonia deserves so much better than what she's been getting. He said she deserves friends who match her energy, who protect her the way she protects them, and who value her the way she values them. Fans who heard this were absolutely furious. They started questioning why good people always seem to suffer the most in this world. Why do the kindest, most generous hearts always get taken advantage of? The comment section was flooded with people encouraging Sonia to start setting boundaries, to stop being so nice to people who don't deserve it, and to cut off anyone who isn't adding real value to her life. But here's something that genuinely shocked everyone and made people see Sonia in a completely new light. Brian revealed that Sonia is extremely spiritual behind the scenes. He said most people don't know this because she doesn't post about it on social media or talk about it in interviews, but Sonia prays before every major project she takes on. She prays for herself, for the success of the movie, for the entire cast and crew, and even for her co-stars individually. She asks God to guide her, to help her deliver her best performance, and to protect everyone involved in the production from beginning to end. Brian said this surprised him when he first found out because Sonia doesn't come across as overly religious or preachy. She doesn't force her beliefs on anyone or make a big show of her faith. She's just quietly faithful, and she lets her actions speak louder than her words. Fans were blown away by this revelation because they had no idea this side of Sonia even existed. It made them respect her even more and appreciate the fact that she's not just talented and beautiful, but also deeply grounded and spiritually connected. Then Brian touched on something that made people's hearts ache with sympathy. He said even when someone hurts Sonia deeply, she still has the ability to smile and greet that person like nothing ever happened. She doesn't hold grudges, she doesn't plot revenge, and she doesn't go around badmouthing people who wronged her. She just forgives and moves on, sometimes way too easily for her own good. Some fans felt this is exactly why people feel comfortable taking advantage of her. They know she'll forgive them anyway, so they don't bother changing their behavior or treating her better. It's like they've learned that there are no real consequences for hurting Sonia because she's just too kind, too forgiving, and too willing to give people second, third, and fourth chances even when they don't deserve them. People in the comment section were practically begging Sonia to toughen up a little bit, to stop letting people walk all over her, and to start making people face the consequences of their actions instead of constantly letting things slide. Brian also revealed something deeply personal about Sonia that explained a lot about her behavior and why she pushes herself so hard. He said Sonia has a hidden fear that she doesn't talk about, the fear of disappointing people. She's terrified of letting down her mom, her family, her fans, her directors, her colleagues, and basically everyone who believes in her. That's why she works herself to the bone, that's why she stays back to help others even when she's exhausted, and that's why she gives so much of herself to every single project. She doesn't want anyone to ever say she didn't try hard enough or that she didn't give her best. Brian said this fear drives her, but it also drains her because she's constantly putting pressure on herself to be perfect, to meet everyone's expectations, and to never show any weakness. Fans who heard this felt so emotional because they realized Sonia is carrying so much weight on her shoulders, and most people don't even notice or appreciate it. They just see the smiling, laughing Sonia on screen and assume everything is perfect in her life, not realizing she's silently battling her own insecurities and fears behind the scenes. Now here comes the part that absolutely scattered the internet and had everyone talking for days. Brian said something that made people stop, rewind, and listen again just to make sure they heard correctly. He said Sonia Uche means more to him than just a colleague or a regular friend. He said she holds a special place in his heart that no one else can easily replace, and the way he said it, with so much emotion and sincerity, made people's minds go wild with speculation. The comment section exploded immediately. People started shouting, love triangle, secret relationship, he's in love with her, and all kinds of theories about what Brian really meant. Some fans were shipping them together, saying they would make a beautiful couple. Others were concerned about Maurice Sam and wondering how he would react to Brian's confession. The drama escalated to a whole new level, and suddenly everyone was picking sides, analyzing every word Brian said, and trying to figure out if there were romantic feelings involved or if it was just deep friendship and admiration. Either way, that statement became the most talked about moment of the entire live session. Brian wrapped up his emotional speech by saying something that felt like a direct message to someone specific, even though he didn't mention any names. He said Sonia deserves someone who will truly protect her heart, someone who values her for who she is and not for what she can do for them or how she can boost their fame and clout. He said she deserves someone who will show up for her the same way she shows up for others, someone who won't take her kindness for granted, and someone who would genuinely love and appreciate her without trying to use her for their own benefit. Fans immediately felt like this was shade directed at Maurice Sam, especially considering the recent tension and cold behavior between them. People started dragging Maurice in the comments, accusing him of not treating Sonia right, of being distant, and of possibly using her for popularity. The entire situation became even messier, and suddenly everyone was taking sides in a drama that kept getting more complicated by the minute. But wait, because there's more drama bubbling under the surface that people don't talk about openly but everyone knows is happening. Word on the street is that some male actors in Nollywood are actually jealous of the attention Sonia gets, and they are especially bothered by how openly and passionately Brian defends and praises her. These actors feel threatened or overshadowed because Brian's constant praise of Sonia makes them look bad in comparison. They're wondering why he doesn't hype them the same way, why Sonia seems to be getting all this special treatment, and whether Brian's feelings for her go deeper than just professional admiration. Some of these actors have reportedly been making snide comments behind the scenes, questioning Brian's intentions and suggesting that he's only defending Sonia because he has ulterior motives. The jealousy and tension are real, and it's creating an uncomfortable atmosphere in some Nollywood circles where people are starting to choose sides and form alliances based on who they support in this whole situation. There's also a particularly messy rumor that's been circulating for a while now, and people are starting to believe there's some truth to it. Allegedly, a certain female actress once tried to actively block Sonia from getting a major role simply because she was jealous of how fast Sonia's popularity and fan base were growing. This actress reportedly went behind the scenes, talked to producers and directors, and tried to convince them that Sonia wasn't experienced enough or wasn't the right fit for the role, all while campaigning for herself or someone else to get it instead. The rumor suggests that this sabotage attempt didn't work because the producers saw through it and gave Sonia the role anyway, but the damage was done in terms of creating bad blood and mistrust within the industry. People are now trying to figure out which actress would be bold and desperate enough to pull off something like this, and the speculation is running wild across social media platforms. And then there's the Maurice Sam situation that people just can't stop talking about because it keeps adding fuel to an already raging fire. Fans believe Maurice's recent cold attitude towards Sonia, combined with the temporary unfollowing drama on social media, made the entire situation 10 times worse and more complicated than it needed to be. People noticed that Maurice suddenly became distant, stopped posting about Sonia, stopped commenting on her pictures, and even unfollowed her for a brief period before following her back again. This behavior made fans suspicious and angry, and they started dragging Maurice left and right on social media, accusing him of being petty, immature, jealous, or simply not appreciating what he had. The timing of Maurice's cold behavior, combined with Brian's passionate defense of Sonia, created a perfect storm of drama that had everyone choosing sides and debating who was right and who was wrong in this increasingly messy situation. But perhaps the most concerning revelation came from an insider who claimed that a respected Nollywood director once put Sonia aside and gave her some serious advice that she apparently didn't fully take to heart. According to this insider, the director warned Sonia to stop trusting people so easily and so completely because some of the very people she helps, supports, and goes out of her way for are the exact same people who gossip about her behind her back. The director allegedly told her that not everyone who smiles in her face wishes her well, and that she needs to be more careful about who she lets into her inner circle and who she shares her personal business with. The director's warning was meant to protect Sonia from getting hurt, but it seems like she either didn't believe it could be true or she's just too kind-hearted to start viewing people with suspicion and mistrust. This revelation has made fans even more protective of Sonia and more determined to expose anyone who might be betraying her trust while pretending to be her friend. The whole situation has turned into a massive Nollywood drama that keeps getting bigger and messier with each passing day, and everyone is watching closely to see what happens next. Subscribe and share.